Peace and blessings. It's Mahat Marina from Seed of the Moon, and I am on Periscope. I have never been on Periscope before. My girlfriend Aisha told me that I should stream live from here. Peace. I can't see what that says because I have no glasses on. But I'm on Periscope. This is Raina, aka Lady Rays from Seed of the Moon. Guru Wannabe is my channel on YouTube. But I'm about to do a reading. And I wanted to talk about spiritual etiquette, or some people call it ritual. I don't call it ritual because ritual is generally something that you always do the same way all the time to prepare for something, like a ceremony, and it usually has something to do with religious rites. So it's something like an order, depending on the order. So I do things differently depending on what it is that I'm preparing to do. Now, as a healer, as a facilitator of healing, generally I don't have to do anything but set my intention, because the person, the healee, is actually really facilitating the healing and their higher aspect. Generally, when we're going through a healing process, we're unaware of certain things that may be going on with us. So our higher self will attract a mediator or an intercessor. And the office that I hold here on earth is intercessor or a facilitator of healing. It's kind of like, we all have the time and the resources now available to research things. So like if you wanted to know something about law, you could probably get the Black's Law book. You could look up things. But it's easier to find someone that is already in that field, already has the knowledge, and may have the connections. Like maybe they know law enforcement, maybe they know the police, or something to that effect. So if that person already knows the law, you go to them, they facilitate it for you, they speak on your behalf, they're already educated about stuff. If certain things comes up, they know how to address it. So that's how I deal with healing. So all I do is set the intention. I kind of witness it, because the healing, as I said, you're doing it. I set myself to listen to what your higher consciousness is saying, messages from archetypal energy or divine or God or the universe or whatever. And I give commands because I've studied a lot of different healing modalities. So I could work with DNA. I'm listening to different things. I'm speaking on your behalf. So that's how I prepare for healing. Reading is a little bit different. Healing, I'm just witnessing. I'm not doing anything. I'm just kind of like mediating. When I'm doing a reading, I have to kind of like clean up. To be a clear vessel for the messages, because generally a reading is going through my intellect, because I'm going to be speaking it out. I'm going to be using my understanding to read the tarot cards, to hear messages, to hear your intelligence speak. So I have to make sure that I clear myself. So I do a lot of spiritual etiquette for that. And one of the things that I like to clean with is Palo Santo. I love it. It smells like cedarwood. It's just so yummy. It has such a high frequency, and it comes from like a holly or a holy tree. It's like a South American thing, and they harvest it. It falls off the tree, so they don't harm the tree to get it or anything. And it's in the same family as frankincense and myrrh. And if you smell it, it has this woody sandalwood smell. It's really high vibrational. So if you was going to a fight, right, and you were getting your weaponry up, a lot of people use sage. Sage is kind of like, it's some tough guys hanging on the corner. You spoke to them already. They still there. They're really ready to fight. They got the wings on their back. They in armor. That's what sage is. Sage is very heavy. It's very dense. It coats and it lingers. So that's something that I would use if I'm moving into a new apartment where many people have lived there before, like the apartment that I had in the Bronx. If some type of trauma happened inside of the house, if there's a lot of wires and like trash and poverty in the neighborhood, sage. That's why you see sage bundled lots of times with like lemongrass and lavender, because the spirits of those plants are more lighter. Palo Santo, I would like to say it's on the frequency of angelic. And angelic meaning like higher messages, like higher language, lighter language. So it's higher frequency. Like, it's like if you was going to this battle and you was diplomatic, you came with tact, persuasion, you could speak around it, or you could rise above it. Instead of going in and rushing in and like knocking those thugs over, you kind of rise above it and you infiltrate using intellect, or you move over them and you don't even have to deal with them. That's kind of like what this is. So I really love this. It resonates with me. I pick things based on how I feel about them, because you already know inside. And a lot of times while you're trying to intellectualize while you're using something, it'll get you confused and you misuse it. So I use this, and I always bathe or take a shower. So I won't do a tarot card reading or any type of reading without doing some type of ritual, like rinsing myself off. I don't want my stuff in your stuff. Another thing I do is I use proxies. I use a lot of crystals for proxies. So based on my intuition about you, or the information that I have about you, because I'm really into astrology and numerology. So a lot of people, when I talk to them, if I really vibe with you, I will automatically say, when's your birthday? Do you know what time you were born? I'll know your life path or something like that. If not, based on what you ask me, maybe I'll pull a crystal. A lot of times I do not ask what question you want to know. I tell you to focus on the question, because a lot of people want to know really personal things and they don't want you to know what they want to know. And I'll just say, you focus on the question and you give me permission to intercess for you, and your higher self will give me the information. So a lot of times I don't know what the question is, so I don't base it on a question or whatever. So I'll just hone in onto the person. And basically after they ask the question, sometimes I can feel a heaviness in my heart or whatever. So I'll have a crystal that has to do with them. That's a proxy. So like I have these are crystals that I'm just going to turn this around. I don't know if you can see this. These are crystals that I always have like hanging around. It's like they always around me. And this crystal right here, this is selenite. It's a big wand. Someone traded with me. I had some other wands that look like fish, and they were Pisces. So they took it and gave me this one day without permission. But they used to put it in my car because I used to drive crazy. Okay, so anyway, this is selenite. Very high frequency. It doesn't really need to be cleared, really. It clears itself. And as you can see, it's a wand. So it's kind of like a wand of spiritual type of information. Spiritual type of work. Meaning that it goes back and forth, around and around, like, because it's going out both ends. You see it, look at it. It looks like fiber optics, right? So it's like, it's holding frequency, so it's transmitting. So that helps with clarity and stuff like that. And then I have like a quartz point, and a lot of quartz grow in points and stuff. That also has to do with transmission. So for this particular person that I'm reading for, when they didn't tell me what the question was, but I automatically felt that it had something to do with, let's just say, pink or red. There's a deep, like, pink color. I was thinking about, like, the sacral and the heart. So I picked out that candle. That's their proxy. I'm going to light that for them. And I'm going to go, I have, like, this is my little crystal jar with all my little crystals in it, and I'm gonna go through here and I'm gonna pick out something. I got all kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? And I'm feeling love, so the first thing I see on the top is rhodolite. So I'm gonna pull some of that out. I got a wand here. So anyway, so I pick out crystals for proxies, okay? So that's part of my spiritual etiquette for a reading. Do my clearing. I'm gonna light my Palo Santo to raise the vibration. I lay out a cloth. I have a black cloth. This cloth is floral and pink. I'm reading for 2 women and a man, okay? And then I pick the cards. Like, Rider-Waite, I use them sometimes when I just want to do a general reading. But I like these tarot Roots of Asia cards. So I use those. I have my pendulum out, because sometimes, like, I hear messages and I'll get clarity on them or whatever. So And as you see inside of my crystal thing, I got money sitting in there. That's like my crystals and things that I have around are my altar to myself. All of my altars are to myself. That's how I work with deities. That's another spiritual etiquette. Working with deities. A lot of people work with deities and they pray and worship and stuff like that. I believe that the deity is an archetype for you to have understanding about how laws and energies work in the universe. So when I build an altar, it's kind of to harvest the ideas, the energy, the frequency of the deity that I want to embody in my life. Like, I see these flashing lights. I don't know if people are taking screenshots. I have no idea what's going on, but whatever. Okay, because this is my first time on Periscope. So anyway, some more light. That's a lot better. Yeah. Okay, so another thing. Whenever, like, I'm doing any kind of work, I try to have the place that I do my work at in a high frequency. So my crystals, these are like my handy dandy crystals that are always around. I always keep money in that jar. And there's a citron in there. Always keep money in there. Like, even if I don't have any money, there's money in there. I also have a bowl behind me. You see that? That has, somebody gave me some chocolate silver dollars. So I put that in there to myself for sweetness and money. And under it, I always keep money under it. I try to keep money all around different altars. In the bowl, I do all kind of stuff with it. I put fruits in there to represent abundance. It's usually about abundance, flow in my life. And I was taught that don't ask for abundance, because whatever is resonating inside of you at the time, you may be thinking up here that you want some money, you want this and that, and you're like, I want abundance, but whatever you're resonating with, whatever the frequency is in your body. So if you're going through hard times and you broke, and that's impressed upon your body, like you really feel tired, you working hard. When you ask for abundance, you may get an abundance of more work. You may be getting an abundance of more bills that you have to pay. So first, ask for cash. That's why I have the cash inside of my altar. Like at least $100. Even if I'm broke, if I don't have no money, it's $100 inside that altar, okay? I mean, like, I have to be super duper duper, like, I'm starving, and I could always come to your house and eat. I'm pretty sure you love me like that. So I keep the cash in the altar. Ask for cash first. Once you have cash on hand to spend and meet your needs, then you start asking for abundance and prosperity. Then you want to have, that's when you start wanting stocks and bonds and stuff that you have on hand, you know, like to save and stuff. Then you want an abundance of that. But don't ask for abundance until you got your mind right. And I'm telling you, we don't have our minds right, okay? I'm telling you, you learn new techniques, you be like releasing blocks, you be healing and stuff, and all you do is go to another level. You know what I mean? You rise up above it, but a lot of times we repeat things. So you'll have thought that you've passed this, you surpassed this on a level that you're on. Like, say, for instance, relationship or whatever. Say you had some blocks, right? And some sexual blocks, right? So the sexual block may have been manifesting itself in relationships, right? Say you always knew that you was open, you were always willing to do different things, but you weren't benefiting from it. You were doing it as a pleaser, as a service to your mate or whatever, hoping that it would reciprocate itself to you. So say you released the sexual block and now you're having pleasure, but you didn't address the root of it. The root of it was never the sexual block. The root of it was probably a relationship that you had with your mother or your father. If you're a woman, possibly it was probably your father, and that's why you were trying to please this man and you were willing and open to do all these different things. And so you release this block, now you're having orgasms and you're like, oh, I'm empowered. I'm having orgasms, but still the energy is misguided. You're on another cycle. So you've loosened up and you're able to have pleasure, but the problem that you needed to address may have been with a parent. So your ego has now grown some. So you're like all empowered, you identifying with this orgasm, but it's not really serving you healingly. It's just like you release something, but you still haven't, found the root. So now you're in relationships, you're with guys and you're having orgasms and everything. And you still might be serving the guy. Like, he might think he's actually doing something now because you're having orgasms, because you haven't addressed the root of the problem, which might be a relationship with your dad or something like that. So you'll find yourself in the same types of relationships over and over again, except for now you're having pleasure. So now it becomes like a new thing. Whereas like you were having sex just as a chore because you thought it was part of the relationship to keep your mate. Now you're having sex and you're enjoying it and you're having orgasms, but you're still attracting the same type of man that is utilizing your energy because you're not healing yourself with this sexual orgasm. It's now like, wow, I can have orgasms, look at me, and stuff like that. And the man is thinking he's giving it to you, and his ego's growing, your ego's growing, nobody's healing. So when it comes to things like that, you have to kind of start from root one and like really know where your head is at when you ask for things. So if you want abundance, you have to make sure you did the work in yourself, because you're going to get an abundance of whatever you are resonating and vibrating on. And sometimes your vibration seems high because your ego is big and you identify with all of these wonderful things that you want, but inside of you is still pain and broken stuff that needs to be fixed and addressed. And it's just like, it's kind of like having a Mercedes Benz with like chrome and gold on it. And all of these things are very high vibrational tools, but you haven't serviced it for a long time. And it was shabby and dusty, and like the oil inside of it was old, and you felt like that. You was like, oh my God, like this feels horrible. And then somebody comes by and they're like, girl, you riding in a Mercedes Benz, like you got chrome wheels. And you start to look around, you start dusting it off on the outside. You see the chrome is shining. You like, you do some research and you like, I got a Mercedes Benz. Like, this is like the German car, and it's like the top of the line, and it's a classic and everything. So you shine it up, you put some wax on the wheels and stuff, but the oil and stuff inside of the car is like no good, and you didn't change the oil. So you're like going around like, I'm in a Mercedes Benz, but you have not changed the oil. And you still like burning old oil, and the motor's all messed up, you didn't clean that out and stuff. So you start to identify with being a Mercedes Benz, and you start to identify with all of the wonderful things that you are, but you're not doing the work to cleanse the inside and like deal with your pain and stuff like that. So when you start to get the satisfaction is real shallow because it's not addressing the problem. And then 5 years later, or sometimes cycles going 7 years, 7 years later, you're repeating the same thing again, like on a higher level. You know what I mean? Like, first you had this guy that didn't pay any bills in your house and he was using you, and then you got empowered, and now you got this guy, he has a nice job, he has a nice car, but he doesn't do anything to like really please you, and he's not focused on your goals, and it's not like a equality there and stuff. So that's why you have to always like look at the root and like really look at yourself all the time deeply. Ask yourself questions. Don't ask yourself open-ended questions. Like, tell your ego to show you this. Show me how much I love myself. Show me my pain. Show me what I think about money. And your ego will jump to show something because it wants to show off. It wants to identify. But I'm rambling on. So that was the spiritual etiquette talk that I was giving you, and basically the different things that you do. So when you're doing a reading, you want to be a clear vessel all the time so you can cleanse. You can use Palo. Ooh, my neck just cracked. Palo Santo to cleanse. I really like that. It smells so good. Frankincense and myrrh is in the same vibration. The king's incense, I think it's mixed with frankincense and myrrh and those type of sandalwood. If you're gonna do the sage, if you loving that sage, wrap it, tie it up with some lemongrass, liven it up so you won't have that heavy, dense, like, because it will coat some stuff. It'll let you know if some funky stuff is going on because it'll come on blast, okay? Hey, Empress, I done talked, and now I'm leaving because I need to do your reading. I love you too. I love you more. When you're doing a healing, try to, like, stay transparent. All you have to do is like be present and listen. So you don't have to like prepare and stuff like that unless you really have like psychological stuff inside of your mind where you think that you have to protect yourself and all of that stuff, and you do what you got to do. But when I come to heal, I'm just an intercessor. I come with my briefcase and I kind of like mediate. And God does everything, you do everything, the higher powers do it. When it comes to the reading, I got to clear my mind. I put perfume on and everything, comb my hair and everything for a reading, light the candle and all of that. And I have a candle out for you, Empress, that represents you. It's like pink, like a rosy color. I use proxies too. That's what I was talking about. Using proxies to represent the person during the reading. I put out a crystal. Oh, and when you're picking out crystals, try to do a little bit of research, not on just like the color and stuff. Do research on how the crystal grows, because it's kind of like alive and it vibrates a certain way. Like I was talking about the points. The points are like spirits, so they're sending energy back and forth. And like the selenite, if you could find something that vibrates or grows at a certain, like say it grows as a like in 6. What is that? Something. Don't ask me. We learned it in school. But 6, if it has like 6 sides to it, that's like balance. So if you need like balance in your life, you try to find a crystal that resonates with that. Or what you can do is you could take the crystal and put like the Star of David around it, or put 6 points, like a triangle at the top and a triangle at the bottom, the masculine and the feminine, so that you can balance out the energy. And you can have that as a proxy to represent the person, or if you're doing like a healing on a person, you could do that as well. So I'm going to stop yapping and I'm going to get to my reading, and I'm going to post this on Facebook so you can hear me ranting and raving. Okay? And I love you, and I'll get back to you soon because this reading, you're first. Okay? All right. Love and light. It's Mahama Raina from Seat of the Moon. Peace out. Love you too. Bye. Okay, are you sure you want to end this broadcast?